What's up, everyone? What's up? So today is going to be a great video because yesterday, like last night, I was talking with a childhood friend, so much to the point that this guy is really like, real family, at this point. So grew up with him, all that, we've been through some things together, you understand? So one of the things that he actually in our conversations and my response to him, one of the things that he was asking, it was like, I know you're how I'm transitioning into these other elements when it comes into business, and he kind of highlighted a particular thing that I really never did like a personal deep dive into. I always stayed at the surface level when certain people ask me, because I've been very active within the entrepreneurship world per se, and especially in the hospitality side. So a lot of people have seen my capabilities and my works and how I'm a true, starter from scratch, no help, person. And hey, no shots, but he just had this one. It wasn't a question. It was more of a statement that really made me think. I was like, you know what? I was supposed to call him last night, and when I wasn't, busy and everything. But I was like, you know what? My response to this is so good. I just want to document it. I have to. I got to document it. So right now, you are actually going to get into the who's, what, where, when's, why's, and why did I switch from pursuing a life of a restaurateur to film. All right, y'all. Stay tuned. So check this out, y'all. So this is so incredible. So let's get into some things, and I've written out like an outline to kind of help keep me guided and focused throughout this whole conversation. But why did I leave the restaurant business to pursue the film business? And I tell you, when I was, operating, when I was working New York Fire Wings, there's been a chain of things that led me to the point where I'm at right now, as far as being a culinary producer, owner of Next Chef Network, and doing these different type of film projects and climbing that ropes. So when I was operating New York Fire Wings, I thought I had everything under control, like as far as where we were going, the happiness that it brought to me. But as I was working in a restaurant day in, day out, night after night, there's certain things, if you are really aware that it will catch to you, it may not kind of sink in while you are going through whatever you're going through. But when you find those little pockets, and you can really sit back and be in a quiet place and just let that stuff marinate. Let those thoughts, let those type of opportunities, let those things that you've done in the past and bring relevancy on it. Let it all marinate. It's like, geez, man, I should have been operating in this direction opposed to this direction the whole time, because everything is laid out. But you've been going against the grain, and you haven't been tapping into the reason why you are here. So I'm going to shed light. Okay, I'm going to keep everything as always transparent. I'm going to shed light. Now, my goal for all of this documentation, is really not to persuade anybody. All right, you do what you want to do and what you need to do and what your heart tells you to do. I am just giving off why I went from having my own restaurant operations to film. All right. Now, if there's any nuggets to be dropped, or if I somehow influence somebody, that's cool. But my main thing is I want to give you the things that happened to me, those chain of events that led me to getting into something like this. All right. So, all right. So looking at New York Fire Wings, I started that in the height of COVID, right? So back in 2020. And I started it with these, right? What do I mean by with these? Look, I started it as a product company. And yes, that is me. All right, that is me on the bottom. See, I started a product company, and this is dated May 1st, 2020. So y'all could take a look at that. So I started out with 8 products. All right, so I do have a lot of experience, not only creating products, all right, creating the recipes, dealing with manufacturing, dealing with logistics, dealing with designing. I've worked with my manufacturer, all right, on all the labeling, the colors, everything. All right, these are legit barcodes. Those are all real barcodes. These are all what is called shelf-ready products, okay? So I from start to finish, from concept, all the stuff written down on paper, to actualization, all right? I got a lot of experience doing this, all right? So I started out with 8 products. And obviously these ain't all. This is just what I was able to get around my house, right? So no biggie. Right? But I started out with 8 products under New York Fire Wings. Which one has the label? So this one has the label right here. Y'all can see that. New York Fire Wings. Let it focus, boom. So y'all see that. Now, here's a few things, right? I grew it from 8 products, hot sauces, various levels of heat, seasonings, that you didn't really need to. I took all the guesswork out for you. You just needed to buy my seasonings, apply it to whatever food that you wanted to, boom, you're already done. That's what made everything unique. Outside of that, everything were all natural ingredients, super healthy stuff, low to no sodium. Like, this stuff was the healthiest things you can actually consume on the market. No additives, no artificial flavoring and coloring and stuff like that. My products was legit, to say the least. So I grew that out to 16 products. I grew my product portfolio out to 16 products. All right. And this is all within 2020. All right. So a lot happened in 2020. Okay. So, I've even captured the attention of Master P on his Master P reviews. He rated my company a 9.5. I was the highest rated food company to ever be introduced to Master P. If he would have rated me a 10, according to his guidelines, he would have made a personal investment into my company, right? So I know he probably wanted to rate it, my company, a 10, but being that he's in a product space, it might have been a conflict of interest, or he would have probably had to position this whole structure, instead of talking about investing into, we would have been probably talking about acquisitions, because being that he's in a product space, at that time I was in a product space, like, you would have had to buy me out, right? So then, staying on a product subject, I've also gotten the Adidas headquarters in Germany as a major customer. I was shipping out my stuff to Germany, to the Adidas facility, all of their people. I've also was able, through one of my chef friends from Johnson & Wales, actually brothers, Kappa Sigma. He was a culinary nutrition chef for at the time it was the Boston Red Sox. So through my Kappa Sigma brother, he actually positioned me to do a deal and bring on the Boston Red Sox. So we became the company of choice for the Boston Red Sox, and this is all within 2020. So that was another major deal. And then we also did another deal with Bento Box, and that's a company that goes around and find people that have products like this and other type of products, and they buy a lot. I mean, thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on a single deal. So I was able to do that deal with them, sent out like 2 of my products. I don't think, no, none of those products are shown here, but needless to say, that was another deal done. So and we also brokered some other deals. It was a very fun ride, y'all. It was a very, very fun ride. Now that was 2020. Now we're going into 2021. So I was able to save up, working overtime, doing what I had to do at the 9 to 5, selling these products. I was selling out every shipment, every mass shipment. I had people lined up, reoccurring. I'm talking about, hey, chef, my bottle's done. I need 3 more of this. Boston Red Sox were buying hundreds and hundreds, a lot from me at a single buy. Then I had all this kind of stuff. I was running with this one right here. Let it focus. Come on, focus. There you go. My rainbow unicorn. I started out the gate. I started a wing challenge. 5 wings. No side dishes, and you could drink anything you want, right? So I created a very strong buzz with that wing challenge, and I'm talking about it hit, y'all. It out the gate. Everybody was on it. I was shipping overseas with it. I was shipped out to the UK, to Germany. I had on lock. UK came aboard, Australia. I'm talking about all over the United States. People was partaking on the wing challenge that I was doing. And they was looking at the past videos I had on a website from the previous contestants that won the and failed the wing challenge. So that was a fun thing to involve in this type of business. But in that following year, as I said before, I saved up a lot of money. All right. And then I was in a position to start or open the restaurant version, because my first thought was like, when I started out, just like anybody else that shoestrings something, I was like, damn, I don't got the money to jump into food trucks, to jump into, let alone a restaurant. But what can I do? I gotta be resourceful. So that's one of the mindsets that I had. I gotta be resourceful. I just can't lay down and wait for the perfect opportunity to come. Me, I'm the person that was like, I gotta create these opportunities. Where can I start? I gotta do something. I just can't let a day, go by without me doing something towards my future. And that's where these came from, products. I was like, all right, so I'm gonna take the recipes, because I wanted this to be a scratch kitchen for a chicken wing restaurant, right? Scratch kitchen in the sense of we make all of our sauces, right? All of our seasonings. And it's going to be fresh every day. So I was like, you know what? Let me take some of the recipes that I had for the seasonings and the sauces, and let me put it in a bottle and sell. And that's why you see, like on this, let it focus. That's why you see on this, New York Fire Wings. It didn't focus that good, whatever, but you get the legit. New York Fire Wings. This is the precursor to what I was able to do. And this is me being resourceful. So, I learned a lot. Dealing with creating products from scratch. And look, let's not make no mistake, y'all. There are people in this world, this is their dream. This is their dream. Man, if I could only have one product of mine in the market. So I don't take this kind of stuff lightly, because I know, I was in a, I'm in a much more better position, but grinding things out from the bottom, hey, I put myself in positions where I did shoestring, but look, I get it, y'all. All right. So, starting a restaurant in 2021, we had an explosive start. I did a lot of test runs, and I'm all about documentation, because somebody, somewhere is going to be inspired. They're going to get some Jews that I just talk about quickly, but they're going to get it from a different angle. Like, oh shit, chef. Like, okay, I didn't even think about things like that. That's why I'm doing all of this right now. So going into the restaurant, did a lot of dry runs, taste testing. We also created a buzz through those taste testings, because I killed on those taste testing. People fell in love. They was even asking me on site, chef, when you gonna come out that restaurant? I want some of this, I want some of that. All right. So the restaurant dropped. We had a great opening, a lot of love, a lot of support within the Northeast DC community. A lot of love. All right. So check this out. There is a good side and there is a dark side to everything. All right. So when you're talking about, the restaurant business, is very different from any other type of business that you can actually involve yourself with. All right. So off the top, if you don't know this, I'm gonna tell you, you about to learn the game now. All right. Off the top, vacations, you could cancel those. Going anywhere fun with your friends and family, you could cancel those. Meaningful holidays and special events, you can cancel those. All right. So in the restaurant industry, it's stereotyped as a sexy business to be in. I got a restaurant. Wow. It's a great thing. Don't get me wrong. Don't take the stuff I'm saying out of context. Just follow me. I'm trying to show you a little bit of the hardcore side after you romanticize about getting into this business, and after that honeymoon period is over and reality smacking on your face. All right. We're talking about incredibly long hours that you're going to have to endure. And I'm not talking about your typical 9 to 5 if you're running a service focused business. Even on the product side, I found that incredibly fun, because those are hours that you can control. There's not that much expectations, but the one that you actually build when you're talking about products. And most of the time, people are going to buy from you online. We killed it online, and we even did more sales when I was posted up, on a military bases and doing all these pop-up events and whatnot. We was crushing it. All right. So and interaction with customers was very fun. I love sales, So when you're talking about a restaurant, it is so cash heavy. And this is one of the things when I was working through it, I'm like, okay, the lease is a couple grand a month. The food, I gotta buy, a big batch every week. And this was kind of at the era where inflation went up just a little bit, just a little tad bit, where you could see the difference. Like, wow, if I'm spending, let's say, on a box of chicken, let's say 4 packs, let's just say what, I don't know, 50 pounds or 4 packs of chicken, right? A box of chicken pre-COVID, pre-inflation was running about $30, $40, depending on your vendor, right? Cool. There's a lot of wiggle room for profit when you're talking about that. Now, when you're talking about, COVID, post-COVID, inflation, all the crazy stuff that's been happening. Now, that same box, that same 40, 50 pound box, whatever, was $30, $40. Now you're looking at $80, $100, pending vendors, of course, keep that in mind, per box. Your profit went from this, which is small, to now you're like, if I don't overcharge, I'm in the negative. So if you don't know, again, it's super sexy to go tell your family and friends, I own a restaurant, but let's be clear. The profit margins in restaurants are incredibly small. So small to the point where if we get another inflative bump, game over. There's a transfer of cost when you're dealing with business. And in the restaurants, if your vendor has to pay so-and-so company to get all of their goods shipped to that vendor's manufacturing facility or warehousing facility, whatever they got going on, and all of those costs is associated with that, right? Follow me on this. The vendor has a vendor. They're saying, okay, I got to get the vendor's vendor have to get their goods from overseas, all this other stuff. They got to pay customs. They got to pay the logistical shipping fees. They got to do all of this and this. That's how they derive their cost and profits and sales points. Boom. Now it's in the United States. Now they got to sell to your vendor, your food purveyor. They're going to transfer their cost to your vendor. Your vendor takes it, and then your vendor is going to transfer that additional cost onto you. That's why it went from $30 to $40 per box of chicken wings to you looking at almost $100 a box. So guess what you have to do as the restaurateur? You got to take that and say, well, I got to now transfer these costs onto my customers. And that's why you look at menus. That's why you go to grocery stores. You see the prices steadily going up. More so in grocery stores, it's a super small increase where if you're not really in tune, you're going to miss it. But in the restaurants, a meal 3 months ago was $8. Now you're spending $12, $13. So when you're doing that, a lot of customers is going to say, fuck this, I'm not paying this. Because a lot of customers, there are a lot of people that, hey, they're making great money, so cost is irrelevant. Cool. Upper six figures, cool, plus. And there are a lot more people that is in or experiencing different levels of financial hardships. Now, when you're just starting out, you're going to have a wave of both. But your biggest customer base or consumer base is going to be those that are blue collar workers, lower on the managerial spectrum for white collar workers, right? The average American, the average person. They are experiencing going to the grocery store and getting beat up in a grocery store when it comes to high prices. And then you want them to take their little kibbles and bits that they got left and then turn around and drop $14, $15 per meal. And they got families. They coming in, with 2 kids, 3, 4 kids, husband and wife team or spouse team or whatever that dynamic may be. You're looking at easy asking them for $60 to $75 just on one visit, one meal. A lot of people don't have it. So this is why you see in a lot of these spaces, a lot of these great restaurants in the first, lockdown and all that stuff. A lot of these notable restaurants on the outside looking in, you were like, oh, they good. They're going to survive this. They were closing their doors left and right. It's unsustainable. A lot of these chain of events is unsustainable, no matter how you want to romanticize the food business. It is, bar none, one of the riskiest businesses to be in today's economy. So if you want to get into the food business, your approach, you got to be above and beyond. You got to really, really think and have your ducks in a row, because this isn't 1990s. This isn't the early 2000s when life was easy. Hey, you drop a restaurant, you was damn near a millionaire on your first restaurant. Your second, third restaurant, forget about it, man. You on Ferraris and shit. Like you got all your joints. You the person, you the chef. Like, yo, you was it. A lot of restaurants has to scale back. And then on top of that, another thing that I was looking at, and this was a big thing back in 2020, 2021, because of the mass layoffs and closing of hospitality businesses in general, that created a lot of fear in the people. These people abilities to look at a restaurant and find security in that plummet dangerously low, to the point where culinary schools and programs couldn't pump out enough of people that was certified and ready to go. People that were in other industries looking to get into the food or the hospitality business, they was like, you know what? Even though I hate my job, I don't know if this restaurant or this hotel or this or that is going to survive. I don't know. I'm good. I'm gonna stay at my job, even though I hate it. I'm gonna stay right here because of the uncertainties that restaurants were faced with in the open public eye. A lot of people took note to that, and that's why you see super high turnarounds. And then on top of that, these people were not being replaced by skilled or quality, operators. And this is when I was in the midst of having my restaurant, and I'm just looking like, all right, I got my spot in Northeast DC. And then some of the thought processes as I was looking at this, like, the food rates is going up. It's costing a lot to get my stuff sent into me. People don't want to work in this industry. People are quitting. Before that quiet quitting bullshit, people were just straight up like resigning, going other places, and just not even filling the gap. There's a lot of stuff that I was looking at. The profit margins. If it wasn't for my products, because I've experienced a lot more, here's another keynote, y'all. There's a lot more profit margins in product than actual per meal sold when you're dealing with restaurants. Night and day difference. For instance, as an example, utilizing this one. All right, let's use some, I'm not going to say exactly the cost, right? But let's use some relative cost. Say it cost me, and I'm gonna round up, but I'm not gonna tell you how much I'm rounding up. Say it cost me $4 all in, label, per bottle, ingredients, everything, to make one bottle, right? $4 landed, okay? And say I've sold this for $10 to my client base, right? That's a $6 per profit per bottle. Now, if I have a meal, I'm in a restaurant scene, I have a meal, that meal is, say, $14. That's the going rate of meals now. $14. It's gonna cost me about $12, $13 to make that meal, all in. Ingredients, your hard products, like your protein, all that stuff, all in. Profit off of that, hopefully, if I'm lucky, $1, $1.50 per meal sold. where I could sell one bottle and profit 6 off the top. So that's why, if y'all don't notice, when you go into restaurants, they got other things to sell you on besides their food. Their food is what gets you through the door. The products is where they make their money. All right. So, but the upside, I don't want this to be a doom and gloom. All right. It's not one of those videos. It's an educational, informative video. So the upside to a restaurant space, hold on, let me think. The upside to having a restaurant is you start to actually see money when you have multiple units. Typically, the real money comes in when you're at 10 to 15 units. You want to be around 25 units to be, kind of like in that important space, to be taken seriously by these huge hospitality groups that may want to make an acquisition move to buy you out. Chick-fil-A was at 25 organically, and then McDonald's came in and invested, and then they went from 25 through McDonald's investment rounds at 500 units nationwide. And then when Chipotle got up to 500 units, McDonald's was like, okay, we're good. Now they at 2,000 plus, So 25 is that kind of number. If you could get your restaurant to, you're showing potential investors that's looking at your growth. Okay, this person have something solid. They got 25 units. All these units is pumping a variety of different numbers. There's people going there. There's a little bit of excitement there, stuff like that. All right, let's invest. Let's talk to them and see if we can buy them out on the cheap before they explode to 100 units, before they explode to 500, 1,000 units. And now we're talking about billion-dollar acquisitions, right? So, and you won't do a $1 billion on 1,000 units. You have to be around 3,000, like around 2,000 to 3,000 units to talk that $1 billion talk with restaurants. But it'll make you a multi-millionaire, like over 100 million plus on an acquisition like that. But anyway, and then of course, one of the upsides on, to owning a restaurant is just the entrepreneurial factor. Hey, you call the shots. You're at the top of the pyramid. You are an entrepreneur. You're not clocking in, clocking out. And there's nothing wrong with, being employed. Obviously, you need a source of income, but, it come with its inherited risk. But if you are the person that is so passionate about, owning a restaurant or owning products or whatever it is, you're going to walk into those risks knowing what you're going to be confronted with. And then you're going to have enough of passion, enough of love for the industry that is going to carry you through. So that's what I said in the beginning. I'm not trying to sway nobody's thoughts on getting involved with a restaurant or not, or a food product or not, or the hospitality industry or not. I'm just sharing my perspective and the things that I looked at that kind of controlled the way that I moved. Because y'all got to keep in mind, and I say this with great pride, I came into this business with no family money, no investment money, and all out of my pocket, and I organically grew from what you're looking at. And the only thing I did was just make some money, sold out, boom, boom, stack, put it on the side, stack, boom, and just repeat that process. I organically grew my follower base when I was doing New York Fire Wings. A lot of love, a lot of support, when it came to that. Learned, oh my God, it put me through a different stratosphere off of everything that I've learned, you know. And I figured out that the way that we are going, even now in 2023 moving forward, you know, I figured out that I need to tap into my, I don't want to say gift, but I want to tap in. It's time for me to tap into what I want to do, like in a sense of what I can control. Because when you're dealing with food on any level, right? Ingredients, yada yada yada. There are so many outside elements that you as the owner cannot control. I needed to say that twice. Look, y'all got to get over the romanticizing and get into the realities of, all right? There's so many extended elements that happens to you that you cannot control. And I'm a person that's like, I'm not a control freak, but when it comes to entrepreneurship, I eventually want to control the entire business cycle from start to finish. And what I've looked at, I started to do some very soft research, and I'm talking about a combination of just looking at stuff, researching things, and asking people that's in the business. And I've collectively came to this decision. I'm like, yo, I'm a very creative guy. You know, that's my thing. I'm very creative. And what that means is a lot, right? So creative as in the abilities to create businesses, just like that, no thought. Great concepts and everything. I'm definitely not one of these one-off type people. And being able to be creative throughout that entire building process, right? And just being tapped in, and then having the abilities to have that foresight, not operating block per block, but really knowing how to connect the dot. A lot of people jump into business and they don't, what I mean by connecting to the dot is this. A lot of people don't know how to do this, and it's crazy to me. Looking at what's happening in our world from an economical standpoint, micro, macro. Okay, this is happening in this country, this is happening in this country, this is happening at our borders, this is happening in our backyard. How is all of these different situations is going to affect my business? A lot of people don't have the foresight to connect all of those dots. So you get into this mindset situation where you think that you are planning based off of the things that you know, but there's a lot of things that's happening around you that you don't have the capabilities of digesting and then turning that into a strategic plan alongside your original plan. And this is where I come in, because I do this on a regular basis. I could be able to see, okay, boom, 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 boom. All right, this is what's going on. This is what's going to happen a year, 2 years from now. This is where we at, and this is where we're trying to grow in that time frame, and we need to switch that around. So we could be able to pivot ourselves to avoid or go into these type of dynamics. And I understand that's an actual gift or a skill set, right? So, looking at everything, that's all I was like, you know what? Instead of going into a completely different industry like what other people do, that is the complete opposite of what you have been growing yourself and having people know you by, I decided to get into the film world as a producer. Don't get it twisted. I'm not a director. I'm not a screenwriter. I'm not a director of photography or DP. I'm not none of that extra shit, all right? Producer, the business side of film, right? Very simple. So I was like, look, I can't control the cost of my chicken wings, of my fries, of my drinks, of this and that I was serving, of the ingredients that went into these. But I could control when I film, where I film. I have options of production-wise, how much things will cost. Hey, if I need to rent this place to do a shoot, to do a scene or whatever, and they are above what I'm looking at spending per day, hey, I could go to this place that's much cheaper and I could still get the same feel of what I'm looking for. I can control that. I can control that entire process. Hey, if this camera guy, because I do have a professional camera, like a whole team. If one of my camera guys is sick or something happened, family issues, whatever, that situation calls for them not to be available for the day that I need to do another a shoot. I could get somebody else. I could hire another camera guy. I can hire another editor. I can hire other people contractually, right? And on top of that, I'm not spending, like if you have a restaurant, you're gonna have employees, they're W-2 employees, so you're gonna need to pay them a certain wage. You're gonna need to pay insurances, benefits, because this is what people want now. This ain't early 2000s. People want, at minimum, $15 an hour, or they ain't even messing with you. People want benefits. They damn sure want the tips if there's tips involved. So what do that leave you with? You don't got the options. You think you're in the captain chair, but you're not. On the film side, look, everybody is contractors, 1099 holders, and I hire you per project need. And I pay you by the standard of the contract. You come in, you do the job, bitty bitty bop, that's it. I don't gotta worry about all that extra insurance and hourly wage and this and that and yada yada. Look, that's it. It's easy. I can control that. See what I'm saying? So there's a big difference. Now, the biggest thing with film that you cannot get anywhere else, even in real estate, is the ability to multiply or make multiples on your profits. Because if I do a show and I put it on Pluto, I put it on Tubi, I put it on YouTube, I put it on Amazon Prime, I put it on a lot of these different distribution channels and outlets, I could be able to connect a large group of people over whatever period of time to watch my show, to pay for, if I'm on those streaming services where you gotta pay to view, like Amazon. I'm always making money. Even, 10, 15 years, life after that particular shoot is still in their system. I'm still drawing some type of revenue from that. I could be 100 projects in, but I'm still making revenue off of my first project. A lot of people don't get that. And again, I'm not trying to sway you. I'm just trying to enlighten you. Being the producer is a lot less stressful pound for pound when you're dealing with restaurant operations versus film. Business across the board has this inherited risk, inherited stressors, inherited benefits, short-term and long-term. It's just that on a film side, I can control a lot more than what I could control on the restaurant side. On the film side, every project that I put out, because we do self-distribute, and every project that I put out, I could plug it into one platform, multiple platforms, whatever. If I do a featured film, I already got the connections to get it into movie theaters, like this and that. No problem. I can generate substantial amount of income. And the processes of making a movie is fun. Making any kind of film project, whether it's a short, I just released my, it's kind of like a soft promotion. My podcast, Here We Chef Again, so those type of things. Let's talk about Here We Chef Again real quick. That started out from the thought process, from the development side, as a TV series. And I wanted to do probably 2 seasons of that and then jump onto another project, right? So that was that's one of my thought processes for that. But I was like, you know what? Being that I got my team, they have the ability to travel on a person's site. And podcast is one of the hottest things since its inception. I was like, you know what? Let me turn it from a TV show, like a TV show type option, and let me classify it as a podcast, because the direction I'm going with this, podcasters is not doing. And no, I'm not, me telling you this, I'm not sharing any trade secrets, but the dynamics of what you are going to see start September or next month moving forward is going to hook you in. Not because I'm the producer of it and I'm going to host and do other elements to it, but it's going to be a crazy ride. You're going to see the food industry for what it really is. No filters, no red tape. We're going all in. The goods, the not so goods, the pure, oh my God, I ain't know about this. So yeah, everything in between. But the thing with film, you got complete control until you actually position yourself to work with a major studio. Then they're pretty much telling you this is what you're going to do because we're paying you to do it, But if you stay more on the indie side, you got a lot of creative control over your projects. Now, so here's the deal. So looking at Here We Chef Again podcast, looking at all of the other lineups that I do have in the pipeline, the documentaries, I do have some shows on reserve that I definitely need a bigger studio. Fox Entertainment. I would have put this out early. Fox Entertainment. What you did for Chef Ramsay, I need you to do that for me. Holla. You know what? Let me get some stuff out. Let me get some body of work out. Hey, Fox Entertainment. Hey, I'm your guy. All right. So look, the thing with film is you got to know how to protect your IP, your intellectual property. You got to know how to legally protect your IP. That is your bread and butter. And to even, it took me a year. Nobody didn't know I was working on Next Chef Network, but just to go through the trademark, just to go through the legalities, it all in all, a year. So that space that I wasn't totally involved and wasn't posting out anything relative and stuff like that on social media and all that for everybody else watching, I was me working on the back end, figuring things out. How do I legalize a production company, Next Chef Network? How do I do this and protect? And it was a learning curve. Got it locked in, done. Now, it's very common. It's very common for studios, major studios, to take your ideas. So when you're getting into the film world, you gotta be, and especially if you are a writer. Um, I mean, they savagely steal your scripts, change the name, and they take it. They put it in production after post production is out in your face, and they're like, "What you gonna do about it?" You don't got the money to compete against us, right? So you got to be very careful. Everything in the film world, just like in business, but even more so in the film world, everything is heavy on contracts. Contract heavy. Your success or your demise is all within a couple of pages. So that's why it took me a year to even stand up this business. And it's not just, okay, going through the flows. I had to pay my lawyer from New York to start the trademark process. I had to pay my representative in Delaware to create the Delaware LLC for Next Chef Network, do all this kind of stuff. It's also the time. So you got to be patient in film. This isn't one of those things like in the restaurant industry where, I could come up with a recipe, I could get the ingredients, I could test it all in one day, and then tomorrow it's on the menu and we're live. There's a lot of wait time, right? Sometimes, if you're doing a full feature, it could take you a year to do one full feature movie. If you're on that side of the house. Me, I'm on the TV side of the house. I'm not, hell yeah, I would do a full featured movie or, plays or anything else just to build up my repertoire. But my direction is, obviously like social media, YouTube type videos as well, and, TV. So look, TV more so in the future when I could turn Next Chef Network into an actual cable channel. That would be like the ultimate goal. Fox Entertainment, hear me. But but eventually, obviously, we'll get there. Eventually, I just gotta keep putting out great body of work, build a clientele and notoriety under Next Chef Network, and turn this from a company to a brand, a lifestyle brand at that, and just organically grow into that. And I know, more I go down the road with this, more opportunities, handshakes, contracts, deals closed will happen. I ain't even tripping on that. I'm just having fun right now, So, yeah. So, some of the challenges when you're looking at the film business is you gotta have your team. It's very important. The things that you do, the film world, the culinary world is small. The film world is smaller. So the things that you do and say that you do, you better make sure that you do and do it at 100% and don't fucking fail in film, because you are literally as good as your last project that you put out. And yeah, there's going to be mistakes, there's going to be learning curves, and that's how you develop yourself and build that foundation. But as you continue yourself in the business, you got to leave a solid track record behind you and how you conduct business. And it can't be just you winning all the time. Everybody involved have to have a sense of a win. And this is how you progress. And look, your name is everything in the world of film. Everything. You can't do another producer or another studio exec. You can't do other people wrong and then expect to have longevity in this business. It's not going to work at all. So you got to make sure that you're coming from a right place and that you are not the type of person that kind of fuck people over in these deals just for you or your company to advance. All right. So it's the film business, no matter what position you want to be on, it's all about, self-branding. It's all about, making a good representative of yourself, building up your name, and having these people, because it's so small, having these other professionals to be able to trust you and your abilities to execute and do things the right way. There's no half stepping. There's no let me skip a few steps and then we could go back later and correct. None of that. None of that. You got to be flawless every time you wake up and say, okay, this is the project I want to do. So, needless to say, y'all, you're going to see, let me get this out of the way. This is all gone. I'm not doing this no more. I don't even care about that. Hey, you know what? Side conversation, because I still have connections in the food space. I might do like 1 or 2 products as a promotional means, like these type of things, like some kind of sauce or something like that. I might toy with that idea of just creating something, but for Next Chef Network, something that I could just give out for free at events. And then of course, on the back end, I'll just, count that as marketing expense and be able to write it all off. But yeah, I might do something like that. Now that I'm really got the quiet space, really could think about it. I might have like 1 product, 2 products the most, and just give it out for free. But I definitely had my fun. I definitely had my fun with New York Fire Wings. Believe that. A lot of long days. I'll talk about this industry will burn you out. So, but on an up and up note, the film industry, it always was my calling, even when I was in Johnson & Wales Culinary School in Rhode Island. Going through that, I just never thought I had an option or a way in. And that was just my own personal beliefs. I thought you had to come from a family that was film practitioners and they opened the doors for you, or you had some secret thing to get yourself in. But again, that's lack of knowledge. That's operating with a lack of knowledge. Now that I've sat down and I did a lot of critical thinking, a lot of research, I was like, you know what? This is it. You know what I mean? Like just the lineup of everything. I could control everything. I could do a project and nothing really out the gate is going to affect my abilities to film. Because when things are great and happening in the world and with people, yeah, I could cover down, I could bring that to light. When the bad things in the world is happening, guess what? We can also capitalize off of that too. Not don't take that part out of context, but I could still film. It's not going to stop me. If we get into another situation where it's like a lockdown, that's not going to stop my ability to create and to still put out, because I could still do interviews. I could still do what I need to do as far as filming through these online platforms, Zoom, these other specialized apps where, hey, we're filming, we're on computers, boom, 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 doing this and that. Hey, I could still get some content out there. You see what I'm saying? It's not going to affect me in any kind of way. And that's the business that I love. I'm 40 years old at the time of this recording, August 30th, 2023. I'm 40 years old. My level of risk went from here to now I'm like right in that sweet middle spot. Hey, I gotta be careful with what I get involved with. I gotta be careful with my level of risk, because it's not about me. I got a wife and 3 kids. And guess who I gotta think about every time I dump out a couple of grand towards something? Hey, if I'm putting 10, 15, 30 grand, 50 grand like I did with New York Fire Wings in 1 year. I spent 50 back in 2021. I put out almost $58,000 that year to get me in that position. Look, if I have to do that again, it's like, okay, what am I going to get out? Because I need to recoup that and make more off of that. So, but anyway, as always, if you are a chef, somebody that's a food service operator, owner, anything that's in the hospitality industry, and you feel as though that what you have went through and the things that you are giving out, serving the people, whatever it is, products, whatever, reach out to me. nextchefnetwork@gmail.com. You got it. Hey, again, I'm not trying to change people's minds. I'm just trying to share with you my reasons from getting out of the restaurant business and into the film business. At the end of the day, I see y'all at the top.